In surd, we talk about division when the surd is on the denominator side or is on the numerator and denominator. Let me explain what that means. Look at this. These are, I can have this. Please look at this. Or another kind of iteration of the problem could be this. So either of these are treated as division under surd at the simplest level. Either this or this are treated as surd. So for surd, the denominator must have a surd. And what we use to solve it, the method technique for solving is rationalization of the denominator. So the technique we use to solve this is what is called rationalization of the denominator. So get it. So anytime you're talking about division in surd, the division they're talking about is that there is a surd on the denominator. How do you take care of it? That's what essentially division in surd is talking about. So let's look at classical examples to help us solve that. Now look at question 1. 2 over root 2. So what do? We will multiply the denominator with the numerator and the denominator. So this will now give us 2 over root 2 times root 2 over what? Root 2. Why are we doing that? We want to make the irrational number rational. I'll come again. The reason we are multiplying numerator and denominator by this root 2 here is that we want to make this denominator a rational number. So the objective is to take care of the denominator, and that will give you 2 root 2 over what? 2. Remember, see where the idea, previous idea now. Remember that we said that root a times root a will be equal to a. So please take note of this. Every topic has its root idea. It's the root idea here. That's what you are trying to do. So at this level, once you see this, you know that it's just to pick one. Right, so that settles that one. That will be, so 2 will go here. Your normal arithmetic processes will now come into play. 2 will cancel 2 and you get your answer. So let's do, try number 2 for me. 6 over root 2. Try that for me. This will be times root 2 over root 2. This will now give you 6 root 2 over what? 2. Remember our idea. So this will now go here 1, this will go here 3, and the answer becomes 3 root 2. I hope that is clear. All right, now let's try question. Let's try question 7. Okay, let me write some questions on the board. You just solve and give me your feedback. Now look at this. For this one, the first thing you must do is to break them. This will now be equal to root 4 over root 5. Now, what's the backing idea here? Look at this. The square root of a over b is equal to the square root of a over the square root of b. Take note of this idea. So that's the idea I'm using there. It is at this point you can, now, some of us will just go ahead to rationalize. No, look at 4. 4 is a perfect square. So the next thing will be what? 2 over what? Square root of what? 5. This does not have a direct bearing to surd, but it has a direct bearing to previous knowledge gathered. Times root 5 over root 5 now, taking care of the sod, and that will now give me what? 2 root 5 over 5. See how we have handled that? So as you're applying the idea of the topic, please understand that there may be other things you need to take care of. Now look at this one. Look at this. Some of us will just say, oh no, we'll just rationalize. But look at this. There's something here. Remember that we have said that the square root of A over the square root of B is the same thing as the square root of what? A over B. So I'll apply that knowledge here. I'll have 2 the square root of what? 3 over 6. Is that not? Previous idea. This we cancel here 2, this we cancel here 1. And I'm going to have what? 2 over what? Root 2. It is this I will now what? Rationalize, which will now give me 2 times root 2 over root 2 times what? Root 2. And that will give me 2 root 2 over 2. And that will give me what? Root 2. I selected this problem specifically to drive home some points. You need to be very observant when you are solving problems. And that's why you practice. Your practicing is to be able to detect, okay, what method should be best used here? Now look at this one. Before you start solving this, they are both even numbers. So you should be sensitive enough to reduce. So this will give you what? The square root of what? 12 over 25, which will be equal to the square root of 12 over what? Square root of 25. 25 is a square, 25 is a perfect square. And this will give you what? The square root of 12 over what? 5. Now, the question that may be popping up in your mind is, uncle, but you said that we should rationalize. No, I said that. But you must apply a principle where it is necessary. Power of observation. So you discover that I can solve this question even irrespective of the fact that I may have not been taught set. Let's assume I've not been taught sword before now. I can still solve this problem. Why? Because I have a strong understanding of my fundamental aspect of physics and mathematics. So from here, you will know that this is what the square root of what? 4 times 3 over 5, which will now be equal to what? 2 root 3 over 5. Let's write this well. 4 times 3. The edge of my board is clear. All right. Now, how do we do this? Now, this is where I want you to pay very close attention to, because I'm going to be shocking you now. Now, I can decide to pick, let me pick this one out, because we're just starting. Let me pick this one out. This one will be equal to what? The square root of what? 36 times what? 2. I know that because I've been playing with it. If I divide 72 by 2, maybe what I would ask you to do as a private exercise when you're free, take 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, do it to 50 times 50. And daily, try to play with it, try to master it. Maybe every day, 5 minutes, just take out time, 5 minutes every day, maximum. Do what you can do. Maybe like today, you have mastered from 1 times 1 to 10 times 10. You have to master it because the amount you lock up here is what will help you quickly process other problems. So this will now give me what? 6 root what? 2. I will mirror this one here. So this becomes what? 30 over 6 root 2. What does this give you? 1, 5. So I'll come here. Let me bring the problem here now. 5 over root 2 will now be equal to 5 times root 2 over what? Root 2 times root 2. And that will give me 5 root 2 over 2. So that's it. It's as easy as that. We'll look at question 16. Look at 16. This will be, you're going to see something very interesting here now. Square root of 18 times square root of 20 times square root of 24 over square root of 8 times square root of 30. Now, some of us will see this question and begin to stress yourself to do sort. I'm going to shock you or try to rationalize. Let me shock you now. See what if I were in an exam setting like this is what I would do. Because I told you before that the square root of A over the square root of B is equal to the square root of A over B. Do you remember this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing that? That's it. So here I try to cancel. 0 will cancel 0. 8 go here 1, 8 go here 3, 3 go here 1, 3 go here 1. I see that. So my denominators are all cleared, and that will be what? The square root of what? 18. So you see that without the knowledge of what? Rationalization of the denominator, I have solved that question. And I've done this on purpose. So this will give you what? Square root of 9 times 2, which will give you 3 root what? 2. Please, there is no one particular method of solving a problem. I'm going to be emphatic here. There is no one particular method of solving a problem. Your solving a problem is tied to your understanding. I've told my children in class that you can actually solve a question without knowing the topic. It's possible, and that's what I've done. You see, I'm applying that without. So if I don't know sort very well, but I know that this is this, because from indices, this is indices. I know this is this. I will just solve it without stress, and my answer has come out without having to rationalize or whatever. My answer is out. So let that be. That's the same idea you're going to use to solve question 17. The same idea you're going to use to solve question 17. All right, let's go to question 18. But we'll soon end there. I notice some of us are ready. Question 18. The square root of 3 plus 1 over the square root of 3 minus 1 over the square root of 27. Now, in this question, people have different ways they would handle this question. There's no particular method, and the method I'm using now is not like it's the best. Look at, let me pick root 27. This is what? The square root of 9 times 3, and that is 3 root 3. So I can come here now and write that this will be equal to the square root of 3 plus 1 over root 3 minus 1 over 3 root 3. Now, instead of rationalizing, I'll take LCM of 3 root 3. This into this will give me 3 root 3 times that, and that will give me 9. How did I get 9? 3 root 3 divided by 1 is 3 root 3 times root 3. This root 3 and this root 3 gives me 3 times this 3, which will give me 9, plus 3 root 3 divided by root 3 will give me 3. 3 root 3 divided by root 3 will give me 1. So that will give me 11 over 3 root 3. Now, this is where I want to make a very, very important observation now. Now, how do we treat 11 over 3 root 3? We say we multiply the top and the bottom by the surd. Please, not with the surd and its coefficients. You multiply top and bottom by the surd, not by the surd and its coefficients. So this will now be what? Times root 3 over root 3. So this will now give you what? 11 root 3 over 3 times, remember that this will become what? 3 times 3. And that will give you 11 root 3 over 9. just discovered this technique as I was teaching you now. So that's the mathematics. So sometimes when you go into the hall and you hear people finishing in less than the time, it's not magic, it's preparation. As you keep solving a question, you begin to see new and better ways to handle the problem. So question 20 says 12 over 24 root 24 minus root 6. So as somebody just solving this for the first time, I'll pick this because this is where I have the problem. So this will be equal to the square root of 4 times 6 minus the square root of 6. This will give me 2 root 6 minus root 6, and that will give me root what? 6. So where I have this now, I'll put this in. Notice what I've done. After solving like this, I just go straight ahead and say what? So you may need to plan your work and put this at the corner, and I'll just put as so. So this will be equal to 12 over root 6. So with this, I can rationalize this. 12 times root 6 over root 6 times root 6. And that will be equal to 12 root 6 divided by 6. This go here 1, this go here 2, and that will give me 2 root 6. So the final answer becomes 2 root 6.